Number 1. Twins. I'm Josh, and I have a twin brother named Matthew. Although my parents were obviously not so dorky that they gave us names that begin with the same letter, they did make us share the same room throughout our childhood. All of our other siblings had their own rooms, but I guess since we were twins, we had to sleep in the same room all the time. I'm not really complaining, because my brother Matt has always been pretty awesome. But it was pretty weird sleeping on bunk beds my entire life until we went to college. Well, then we went to the same college and had a dorm room together, and guess what kind of beds were in there? You guessed it, bunk beds. Anyway, I think it's important to know right off the bat that I had absolutely no idea what sleep paralysis was back then. I think that lack of knowledge made this even scarier because of exactly what happened. I woke up in the middle of the night. I felt really wonky. I couldn't clear my thoughts. I wasn't sure at all what woke me up. I thought maybe I had to go pee. So I tried to move and realized I couldn't. Of course, this was scary, so I started freaking out. I tried to call out to Matt, but I couldn't. The only thing I could do was move my eyes. After a moment, I heard a noise, and then I saw Matt's legs dangling off the side of his bed. He slept on the top bunk. He then dropped to the floor. I tried to call out to him and get his attention, but all I could do was watch him out of the corner of my eye. He walked to the door, opened it, and went out, closing the door behind him. I was freaked, but figured he would see me when he came back in the room. But then, something weird happened. I saw a pair of legs, suddenly dangling off the side of Matt's top bunk. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that Matt had someone in the top bunk with him. The person then dropped to the floor, in the exact same way that Matt did. He stood up, and I was completely shocked to see that it was Matt. I wondered how the hell he got back into bed. Had I dozed off without knowing it? I tried calling out to Matt again. I couldn't. All I could do was watch him walk to the door and leave the room exactly as before. I was terrified when I realized I couldn't move. I was more terrified now. As I lay there, wondering how this could have happened, I saw a pair of legs dangling off the side of Matt's top bunk. Matt once again dropped to the floor and walked out the door. It was exactly the same way as it had happened the previous 2 times. And then, as I was wondering how this could happen, I saw a 4th set of legs dangling off the side of Matt's bed. I knew, and it was confirmed that it was Matt yet again. This process repeated, and I lay there, scared out of my wits, as I saw at least 10 Matts get out of bed and leave the room. I always liked science fiction, and I know what temporal causality loops are. I didn't know what sleep paralysis was. I thought I was caught up in some sort of time loop, and that was why I couldn't move. I also thought that I was stuck in it forever and there was nothing I could do because I couldn't move. I did the only thing I could do. I closed my eyes. I kept them shut. If I couldn't break the loop, at the very least I didn't have to watch it happen. Now, I don't know how long I lay there with my eyes tightly shut, but I do know that I fell back asleep. When I woke up the next time, I was mobile again. I was relieved that I had broken the loop. I immediately told Matt what had happened. I ran up to him and told him I was caught in a time loop of when he went to the bathroom last night. Matt insisted he never got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. When I told him what had happened, he laughed at me and told me I had sleep paralysis. He explained it to me. It's still a really scary concept, but at least I can say this. Sleep paralysis is not as scary an explanation as being caught in an eternal time loop of a few seconds in which you can't move.
Number 2, the third kind. I know there are people out there who will not believe this is sleep paralysis episode, but because of what I believe is possible and impossible, I don't actually remember going to sleep that night. But I remember waking up. I'm not sure what awoke me. I thought I'd try to make a bathroom run, but I found that I couldn't move. I began to feel panic. Over to the side of me, it looked like I saw a really bright light outside of my window. It only lasted a moment though, and then it was dark again. I then heard something in the distance. Noise of footsteps outside of my house. They seemed like they were getting closer and closer. I then heard what sounded like my bedroom window opening. As I mentioned, the window was off to the side, so I didn't get a good look at it. However, I could see that it was opening. I was so scared that someone was obviously breaking into my home. For some reason, I couldn't explain. I couldn't move. I tried moving. I looked out of the corner of my eye, saw a figure slip into the window. Then whatever slipped into my room reached up and pulled the window closed. It was scary enough that something was in my room, but it was just as scary that I couldn't see what it was, but I could hear. Whatever it was crawling on all fours. Or it was really short because I couldn't see it. I could feel myself breathing harder and my heart racing as the crawling came towards my bed. Then everything was quiet and I didn't see anything. I'm not sure how long I lay there on my bed, trying to move but not being able to. I was trying not to be scared while wondering what the hell that thing was in my room. It was terrifying. Then it happened fast. Typical gray alien appeared quickly over my face. I wanted to scream. He had some sort of long pin in his hand. Without so much as a pause, he took the pin and quickly plunged it into my eye. With a shock then, everything was gone. I was laying in bed, but there was no alien in my room. I could also move. I ran screaming out of my room, waking up my parents. When I told them what had happened, my mom explained to me what sleep paralysis is. I've told people this story, and they have told me they think I was abducted. I don't believe that, though. I know sleep paralysis is a real thing. I have no proof aliens are, but while it was happening, I did honestly think an alien was about to torture me.
Number 3, by the door. I live in sort of an efficiency apartment that is inside of an actual apartment. That is the best way that I can explain it. It's an apartment and they built a little kitchen nook into my room. I still have use of the common areas, of course, but it's a nice, cozy little place that I enjoy. Now, generally, I sleep with my door closed. But for some reason, the night that this happened, I left my door cracked open just a little bit. I woke up because I thought I heard a noise. I opened my eyes and immediately took notice of something over by the bedroom door. There was a light on in the hallway. Because of that light, I could see that someone had their hand on the door. Their fingers were curled around the door and was just holding the door. I tried to call out to whoever it was, assuming it was just my roommate who owned the apartment. I found that I couldn't call out. I then found that I couldn't move. While I was worried about my condition, the door moved. The hand on the door slowly pushed the door open. I was completely surprised and scared when I saw my dead Uncle Joe standing inside the door. Joe was a horrible man who abused me severely when I was younger. Fortunately, he died in a car wreck and was no longer able to abuse me. Still, for some reason, here he was. And worse, I couldn't move. My dead uncle began walking towards me. I did everything I could to try and force myself to move. I couldn't do it though, and my uncle was slowly walking closer and closer to me. He wasn't saying anything, just looking at me, with this dreadful smile on his face. He was walking so slowly, it took him a couple minutes, I believe, to reach my bed. When he was right at the foot of my bed, he stopped. He leaned over the bed and looked me right in the eyes. I had never been so terrified in my whole life as I watched him. I wish that I could have said that was the scariest thing in my life, and it was up to that point. But then, while my uncle was looking into my eyes, suddenly his face began disappearing from his forehead, slowly down to his mouth. He then stretched out his head from his body, reaching across the bed until his now faceless face was only a few inches from my own. I closed my eyes, and then something weird happened. I felt some sort of weird, jerky movement. One of my legs kicked the bed involuntarily. Suddenly, my uncle, or whatever he had morphed himself into, was gone. That was my first, and to this day, only instance of sleep paralysis. I hope it remains that way. Hey y'all, Killer Orange Cat here. If you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. At the end of this closing, a link to the second half of the collaboration on Hitch Hiker's channel will appear. Make sure to watch it and subscribe to his channel. If you're not already subscribed to Killer Orange Cat, please hit the subscribe button below, or use the icon of Ichigo that will appear at the end of the closing. Feel free to leave some comments on the video below and share it with someone you might think will enjoy it. Also, you can always follow Ichigo and myself on Facebook and Twitter. I want to thank Hitch Hiker for having the idea to do this collaboration. I definitely had fun. Please definitely check out our video on his channel, as I think you'll really enjoy it. In regards to my channel, I will have a collaboration with Mortis Media coming out tomorrow. This will be 4 scary school stories. Plus, Mortis, Being Scared, and I are working on a Christmas video that will be out this week. I know I keep putting the second part of the 100 Ghostly Tales video off, and I apologize for that. Just keep in mind I am working on it, and it will be released with about 20 stories sometime very soon. In the meantime, keep warm, or keep cool if you live in a tropical area and it's hot, and don't forget to check in your closet and check under your bed, because you never know where a Killer Orange Cat might be hiding. Good night.